Truth on my blade, every line's exploded. You swing your words, I counter with precision. Battle of reason, this is my mission. Raise your fist, let them know. No. Raise your voice, let it blow. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like no retreating. Yeah. No fear, no chain, no treason. Woo! We clash our swords of reason. We clash our swords of reason. Cut through like...
Alrighty, welcome everybody to Swords of Reason right here on the SpeakeaZy show, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This is where logic meets passion. Today's debate prompt is women can be the breadwinner in a trad relationship. Let's meet today's debaters. For the affirmative, we have Angry Amputee, who is new to streaming, but has a channel right here on YouTube. And tonight, making his debut with this debate. So make sure y'all go show some support. You can find him in the description. Okay. And for the negative, we have Geoverse, who also has a channel right here on YouTube where he focuses on politics, gaming, and more recently, debates. So debaters, you know the rules. Let's keep it sharp, entertaining. Whenever you are ready, Angry Amputee, you'll be starting with your opening statement first. So whenever you are ready, I will start the clock up with your voice. And thank you again, both of you, for being here.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to prove that women can be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship. First, I would say that this cannot be a claim without a couple being married, which I would assume my opponent would agree. Traditional marriage is defined as a union that follows the historical norms, customs, and social structures of a specific culture and society, involving a man and a woman, typically for the purpose of establishing a family. Traditional relationship is defined as traditional gender roles, where the man is the primary provider and decision maker, and the woman is a homemaker and caregiver. I would say it is a marriage between a man and a woman coming together to become one flesh before God, which we will end up as a nuclear family, none of which says anything about breadwinner. Once a couple gets married, it becomes their money, not his or hers. Everything becomes one. When my wife and I got married, our vows involved promise to love, honor, and cherish through better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. Still nothing about breadwinner. As far as I'm concerned, a husband is a leader of a marriage. I believe the order in the traditional marriage is God, husband, wife, children, then animal. Ephesians 5:22 says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as to Lord." 5:23, "For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is Savior of the body." 5:24, "Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be their own husbands in everything." Bible doesn't say head of wife if he makes more money than her. It says to lead her as she submits to you. I have anecdotal evidence of this working out just fine. My wife and I were high school sweethearts. I worked until I was about 21. I lost my leg, and she became a breadwinner because of that. But we got married before children. We had our children. I supported us all up until then. I still could support us, so I provided for the family. She just made more money than I do. We still have the same gender roles. I provided, protected. She took care of the household, the children. At no point in any of my life did our roles ever change. I am always the leader, and the rest of my family follows. Never became a house husband, as people call them today. Just that we never switched any role. As a leader, I'm a delegator. No one would say the President of the United States is the breadwinner of America, but I definitely would say he's the leader, just like I'm the leader of my family. As a leader, I control all income coming in and out. I have the final say over any decision as my wife submits to me. To quote to quote Andrew Wilson, I will take her entire paycheck and go buy Pow Pows, and there's nothing she could do or say about it. My wife has always been the housewife and she homeschooled the children and I was able to delegate the things in the house that needed to get done. Even if I couldn't perform those roles, I had I could delegate it to my children or my wife to get it done. I can protect, I have firearms and a 19-year-old son that could do the heavy lifting. I can provide for our family just fine. It's just simple fact that she makes more than I do. I would say because I don't sleep very much and I'm home all the time, that my family is actually more safe because I could protect them 24/7. A husband is defined as a leader, which is often described as a servant leader who leads by example with responsibility, care, and sacrifice for his wife and family. The leadership isn't about control or dominance, but about selfish service, encouragement, and fostering a partnership where his wife can thrive. Now, my opponent is going to try to say that the man has to be the breadwinner using things like Timothy 5-8. Anyone who does not provide for their family, especially their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever, which doesn't say the man can't make less than a woman. Surprisingly, he is defending tradition with the new age materialistic view of breadwinner. Breadwinner didn't become a thing until 1600s, and then it meant one who supplies a living. Then it changed in the 1820s to mean one who supplies a living for himself and others. I would just say marriage started nearly 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia in 2300 BC, and I don't think breadwinner was a thing then, but I'm sure a leader was. I will end by saying that just because I lost my leg, nothing has changed in the rules of my traditional marriage to my wonderful wife. It just happens that she makes more than I do. And unfortunately for my opponent, I only have to prove that one traditional relationship can work in the prompt. Not that I have to prove that it works as a norm or that it has to be. I just have to say it works one time and I win. Now, if anybody out there wants to make me the breadwinner, you can cash at me anytime you want. And I'll concede my time. Thank you.
Thank you for that opening statement, Angry Amputee. And with that, we're gonna hand the mic over. Hand the mic over to Geoverse. So, Geoverse, whenever you're ready for your opening statement, I will start the clock up with your voice. And again, thank you both for being here.
Okay, so first time I've tried a new tactic in which I, listen more than I speak. As always, intros allow that understanding to be garnered before I even give my intro. So I appreciate the great intro by my opponent, Angry Amp. And I also agree that my household is run under a Christian ethos, where I would also bring up verses, just not any specific verses that he said already, nor that he thought I'd bring up, right? But I'll start my intro by saying just 5 few words, right, that I view as impeccability within a marriage, right? Be it theistic or secular. The first word is respect. If a husband doesn't show respect, his wife won't feel valued or safe. Respect keeps things equal and loving, not controlling or hurtful. Inside of his intro, he used words like delegate and also quoted Andrew Wilson. While we all know that Andrew Wilson is a sometimes satire, debater or a political satirist, as he's claimed, I don't hang on every word that I hear. I use context and cross-reference to understand if he's joking or not. But going forward, amicably, he also claimed that he's a leader and has control. For the majority of the intro, I pretty much heard him describe a pimp relationship with a, certain employee where he does zero of the work of earning the provision, but still keeps claim over it. He also failed and tried to use anecdotal evidence to see if that would be an advantage. Unfortunately, I'm an Army veteran. I've been married for 4 years, and for the first 2 years, I had no employment. I moved to a new state, couldn't find a job, post pandemic as a veteran. Luckily now, I did find gainful employment, and I now realize that if I do love my wife, then it does involve self sacrifice. Because if love is defined as external, it need not matter my limitations and or my, you know, prescriptions on going to provide for my family. I can appreciate many men in our industry and also veterans like myself that have, met physical limitations that may limit their ability to. I've seen many points of evidence where, in most cases, a lot of remote work is available, a lot of e-commerce work is available, and to simply say that no man can provide or ascertain provisions for their family is almost like it's a paperweight, unless you can convince me otherwise. So we cannot go toward an anecdotal debate where, i.e., I'm this happened to me, where most would grant it, but it really wouldn't suffice in this debate. Secondly, communication. Without honest talking and listening, problems pile up. Good communication helps couples understand each other before small issues turn big. He claimed that a man that has no, financial, authority in his home can still lead and make decisions. Well, if you're a man in your own home and you're not paying the bills or have the authority on whether the lights are on or off, how can you be the final defector in any argument? Therefore, communication and respect are out the window. This is one of the main reasons of divorce today is financial reasons and lack of fulfillment. I don't doubt that a man cannot fulfill his obligations without money because that's not what money's about. But money does create the WD-40, if you will, about prosperity. Thirdly, we have patience. I'll agree with my host. All men are not perfect, right? Patience helps the husband stay calm when things don't go his way, giving the marriage room to grow instead of falling apart over frustration. So we do have many women that do date down. Some date net neutral and are okay with being a traditional part of society and doing the unfettered, timeless tradition and huge civil duty of raising children and maintaining a home. And 4 out of 5 is trust. Trust is what lets both people in a situation relax and be themselves. How can a woman going to work every day come home and possibly clean, not assuming my man isn't a chef or not, but how can a woman be in charge of the finances in a home and then seek in that same moment guidance and leadership from a man that cannot provide the same? There's too much weight on their shoulders. And if you and I agree with Mr. Wilson, I don't know if you're trolling or not, but we understand that feminism has always been a net negative for women, which is why most conservatives help women by helping them not vote against their own interests. And last but not least, commitment. Commitment is a loose term in our society because a man to be impeccable with his word is quite foreign, especially in our space, in many of our crafts. But there are few, right? They're the proud. They're Marines. I'm kidding. There are few men that do choose impeccability regardless of what the response is going to be like. So I'll end my intro like this. If you ask for respect, communication, patience, trust, and commitment, and you want to bring up Bible verses, I will match you at Ephesians, but it'll be, I believe it's 5:25, and I can pull the scripture momentarily in a second. It says, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." So if love is indeed an external force that behooves us to procreate, Rick and Morty reference, how can we say that we love someone but yet choose our own self-gratification above their needs? I'm also a parent myself, right? How can I guide someone and give them an incongruent example of what I expect them to be? In the military, NCOs have a saying, "I will never make a soldier do what I'm not willing to do," right? An NCO will tell me, "Drop and give me 50," but he's dropping with me and giving me 55 on principle. So we can try and pretend that there is no inequality among the sexes, that there are only moral oughts on both parts. No, men have a civil and moral ought in society, and especially husbands, to lead their home against the tyranny of the ideologues on my opposing aisle. I'm not assuming you're a lefty, but I'm just talking to you like you're a man, Amp. So, common courtesy. But I will definitely avoid my time, and hopefully my tisms haven't confused the chat too much. But hopefully we can engage in a good to and fro going forward. Amp, thanks a lot for your time, sir.
Thank you for that opening statement, Geoverse. So with that, we're going to get into the 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttals from each of you. So we'll hand the mic back over to Angry Amputee for your 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal.
Gio, you said you spent more time listening. You got it? Gio, you said, hello? You said you spent more time listening this time, but everything I said, you really didn't hear me. For when you said respect, you said that I'm a pimp. I never said one time that I didn't make any money. I said I make enough money that could support our family. I would just say my wife makes more than I do. Unfortunately for you, my wife probably makes more than you. So if you were married to her, she'd be the breadwinner in her family too. Two, communication. We have great communication. For bills, you kept saying she pays the bills. She has to do this. No. All the money comes into my account. I distribute it as needed. She don't even know how much money she makes. Your third one was patience. Patience. She keeps saying patience. There's enough patience. Christ, you have to have a lot of patience to be married to a disabled person. So that's 60%. Trust. You have to trust to be in a
Sorry,
marriage.
one second. Gio, you got a lot of background noise right now. So just I just paused the timer there quick. Just stay muted while he's doing his 5-minute rebuttal. We'll fix it on the opening. Maybe that's what it is. All right. Sorry to interrupt you, Angry Amputee. I'll give you back 15 seconds there. Go ahead.
Okay, patience. She has a lot of patience because she has children, so she knows how to deal with patience, and we love each other. Trust. We have the best trust ever. I don't understand how being a breadwinner has anything to do with any of these 5 words, really. Communication. We communicate great. Commitment. We've been together since '96. I took care of her while she went to school to be able to be the breadwinner in our relationship. That's why she makes over 6 figures and makes more than I do. Let's see, what else did you say? Yeah, so if you have 5 words at 20% a word, I think we have 100% marriage. So I don't know why you called me a pimp and my wife a hoe, but that's okay. And let's see, I have some more things to say. Let's see. My roles never changed. That's where I want to get. I'm still the leader of the family. The roles never changed. I could still provide and protect. Even if she lost her job today, we'd be fine. And once somebody has, like you even said, as a military person, if you lost your leg in the army and you came back, you would expect your wife as a mortal obligation to take care of you, right? I mean, as a Christian, you would, and she would expect that because that's how a marriage is. You're one. Let's see. It's the first time I did this 5-minute rebuttal. But I just want to double down on saying leader, leader, leader. I can provide and I can protect. And we were still a traditional relationship. We had it from the beginning. From high school, I took care of her, and I could still take care of her if I needed to, but she just makes more than me. It's a simple fact that she just gets a bigger check. So I don't understand what that has to do with being non-traditional. But I'm sure Gio will tell me. I'll concede my time for that.
All right. Thank you for that 5-minute rebuttal. And Geoverse, we're gonna give the mic back to you whenever you're ready to give your 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Real quick, mic check. You guys hear me okay? All right, phenomenal. Shout out to JBL, sponsor my channel. So going forward, you're right, and I do appreciate that you did hear the 5 words that I used, but you didn't hear how I used them in context. So when I say, for example, communication, right? When you say you delegate and you still hold authority in your household, communication is great. Being listened to when issuing an order is phenomenal. But when no one respects you around that order, or trust is there, because unfortunately the debate is not, I'm very sorry for what happened to you, sir, directly, but I'm not here to debate about your marriage in particular. I'm here to debate about the status quo. And in the status quo of society, if there is a one income household in a marriage, especially with children, I didn't even want to discuss children, but you added children into the mix. Once you add these variables at play, I find it very hard to believe that a man says, I love this woman, ready to self sacrifice, and just chooses to burrow in his chamber and try and get that no scope headshot before making sure that there's plates with food in it, even before the plate hits out of the table. Now, I also admit, like you, life has been a circumstance for me for the first half of my marriage, but with that trust and patience that my wife had for me, I now have risen to near equal, or stagnant income levels. But the difference between most marriages, and I mean, I won't bring you up because I'll be honest, a bit of a curveball. You have a unique situation, but regardless, my wife can choose to quit her job. Regardless of what she chooses to do, she does it because she wants to, right? She's huge into holistics, making soaps, bath bombs, crystal collecting. So I mean, whatever she wants to do, she can do. But as I'm able to, I will always self-sacrifice and provide all that I can, right? Now you can try and pivot and seek and appeal to empathy, and I do understand that I also feel terrible about what happened to you, but just focusing on the debate and arriving at this logically, one cannot be a leader and have control without providing the foundation. I mean, it's as simple as looking how a house is being built. You can have a metal roof, solar panels, fiber internet connection in the house, but with no foundation, what do you have? Not a house, that's waiting to fall over. So, in regards of the longevity of a nuclear family, right? Not in the exception of, like myself, a veteran who couldn't adapt quickly, right? And you yourself, somebody that was injured through no fault of your own. God bless you and your family, by the way. But in the general status quo, how could you begin to argue that, let's say, for example, if you had a daughter and she married a guy that had no aspiration, no jobs, no dream, but inherited a house and a few acres that he couldn't manage? How could a man give that blessing to his daughter, to a man that has no provisions nor self-sacrifice in his bones for his own child, right? So you have to put yourself outside of your own situation and see what the other worldview is, right? So generally speaking, outside of you or I, how can respect, communication, patience, trust, and commitment yield a positive outcome when all the burden is on a woman in a nuclear Christian relationship? I mean, the last minute and a half has to be with, once again, going to scripture, right? You know what? I'll even keep it secular, right? Because you do say a lot about communication, and the source that I used for my intro today was a study titled "The Impact of Effective Communication in a Marriage." And what they found is that effective marital communication skills positively correlate with marital satisfaction. Then if you look at the stats as to why people are getting divorced, especially in general, because if you look at Christians, by huge margins, they're not getting divorced at any close rate to secular marriages, right? So if we look at secular marriages, why are they leaving? One, no fault divorces. Two, lack of fulfillment. He worked too much. I felt empty. Dot dot dot. So when we live in a society that continuously pummels men, what I'm not going to do, even though I haven't always been the perfect model, what I would never do as far as the prescriptions, tell men it is okay for a woman to lead your home, not for their sake, but for the sake of the entire home in general. We are instructed by, as Christians and as men, to lead our home. And again, I'm not saying that you have to be balling, brother, but you have to self sacrifice, and the debate is breadwinning.
All right. Thank you for that 5 minute uninterrupted rebuttal. And with that, we are going to move it into the open hour. Whoever wants to open up the open floor, I'll start the timer with your voice. And again, thank you both for being here.
Gio, define breadwinner real quick.
Breadwinner. And I guess we can go toward the inception of time. And at one point, it was a man tackling a saber-toothed tiger or a woolly mammoth with stone and spear. But in modern time, I would argue that it means bringing home the bacon, bringing home, supplies, provisions, and creating a safe place and an environment that you and I would agree is a home for a family.
Okay, see, I would disagree. I would say the breadwinner is the one that makes more money than the other, and that's the discrepancy. And I don't think that's what we're coming into the same logic, because if you're saying that because I'm claiming not to be the breadwinner,
Right,
that
but
I
is the
can't
debate about
provide.
is it better if the wife makes more money? No, it's if the woman is the main
No, it
breadwinner.
doesn't say
So
better.
within that context, one can infer, and it's open for debate, but one can infer that is the guy a Twitch streamer like I used to be, or is this guy just someone down on his luck, got laid off to work? Johnny can't go back to the dock and clock in at 5. It happens to the best of us, to the very very most alpha, what you would call alpha, I assume, men. We do fall on hard times, but the perseverance and impeccability of what I would consider and scripture would consider, for example, Ephesians 5:23, you brought that up. So let's revisit that with context. You said, for the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up. I hated going to work in the morning for DOT, laying down concrete, baking in the Florida sun with a hat, with a visor that never worked, sir. I never enjoyed 1 second. But when I got paid, my first paycheck, after a year and a half of not being able to do anything for my family, that was a feeling I can't describe, right? Because my wife knew I loved her, right? So your commitment is not in question, right? Commitment
Would you
is a
consider
huge part in
yourself
a
a
marriage.
traditional family? Would you consider
Yes,
yourself in a
sir.
tradition? So when
Hey,
you weren't making making the money and she was, you were still traditional then too?
well, that was when we were dating, and I was already providing at which point we got married. Right? So we didn't get married. See, unlike modern day hookup culture, we don't just meet and go to Vegas after a month. No, we spoke first for 3 months, right? Got together, dated for about 2 years, moved in together, and then got
Okay,
married
when you were
back in
married though,
2022.
were
Yeah,
you
so we
the
climbed into
from
that
the
when we were
beginning?
both ready. Hmm.
Okay, well, I started at high school, so we've been high school sweethearts, so I know exactly what you're
Right,
saying.
but
I
I
was
mean,
the
respectfully,
breadwinner
like
until I lost,
anecdotes
until
aren't
then.
always, great about, bringing them up in debates, only because I can't prove if you're lying to me, I can't prove. But what I can prove is what, for example, I can bring up countless studies on communication, respect, balance, and order, right, in the
You
home,
keep saying that, but
right?
what's it
So,
have to do with breadwinner? That's what I don't understand. You keep saying communication. I communicate great.
okay, so I understand that many Christians take the Bible literally, and most times we are taught to, right? We have finite minds. But what I won't do is allow logic to escape me. When I say breadwinner, I don't mean when Jesus Christ said a man cannot live off bread alone, right? I'm not talking in riddles here. I'm literally saying if a man is expecting respect, trust, and to be allowed delegation from his partner and family, right? How can you do that with an empty hand? How can you do that with with
It's
a
not
hand where
empty. That's
you're
the
not
problem. You
bringing
keep
in
saying
any kind of
empty. It's not
provisions?
empty. What if she makes one more dollar than you? That's breadwinner.
Again, just for context,
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna appeal to the moderator on what the title is of this debate, real quick.
Sorry, of what the title? Like, you mean the
Like, what's the topic?
women can be the breadwinner in a trad relationship, in a traditional
Okay, so
relationship.
women can be not women can make more. Women can make
That's what
dot
breadwinner
dot
is,
dot.
though.
Like, again, I'm not saying that. For example, I'm in a marriage today where my partner is in the insurance industry, right? So for a small portion of the time, she was the only breadwinner. She was the breadwinner, meaning that I had to, pick myself up from my bootstraps, clock in a new state, right? Buy an economy, right? So it took a while for me to get that respect and trust, all the dreams that I sold. Because men, let's be honest, we sell
You weren't
dreams.
in a
Not
traditional relationship then.
Listen, brother, you're Prince Charming, and you've been at it since high school, and I commend you for it. But not all
You're
of us
debunking
married our
yourself.
our, our prom date, right? How am I debunking myself? Can you point
Because
to
you're
me to
saying
any
you were in a
study?
traditional
Can
relationship,
you
but you
point
just
to me
said you
any
weren't the
study that
breadwinner at one
says,
point.
point to me any study that would give a prescription, right, for a
That's the
man and a
prompt.
woman to seek prosperity in a single income home? Show
Who
me
said
any study
single
that would
income?
prove that.
No one said single income. You keep saying
It's
single
it's
income.
inferred in the topic, sir.
No, it's not. Show me.
Can be the. What does that mean to you, sir?
Breadwinner, right. That
Yeah,
doesn't mean
the,
only worker.
not part of or helping with or adding to or am I confused or somebody else?
I must be confused because breadwinner always meant to me that it's the
And I mean,
person making more money.
I'll
I never
even
heard of
concede
this
that part of
that
it. But
you
again, this debate isn't about your marriage or my marriage. It's about us
it's
giving a
about can a
descriptive
woman be the
about how we
breadwinner in a
feel
trad
and then offering
relationship,
of
which
truth.
my wife is, so I proved you wrong.
Unfortunately, this topic is hits very close to home to you, sir. And again, my prayers are with you and your
Exactly.
family
That's
for
why I
whatever you're
took
going
it.
through. But again, this debate isn't about angry Amp's life and why it's okay that he's still the big dog in his home. Again, all the respect in the world, sir.
You're
I'm
right. It's
saying that
just
in
can a
general,
woman
if
be,
you
and
hang on
she
one
is.
second, if you expect respect and also reciprocity, don't blame me in the chat for that word incorrect usage. But how can you expect all this, right? And only give the illusion of leadership, of protection. Not you, Amp, just in general. Let's say you had a 19-year
I
old
got you.
son that wanted to get married and said, Dad, I have nothing except lint and a pocket full of dreams, and I'm a rapper. I'm going to make it, and this girl wants to marry me. Can I go and get married?
Well, that wouldn't be traditional.
So you wouldn't give a prescription to a young man to get married without a plan,
She'd have
foundation.
to be able to provide. And I was able to provide when I got married. I didn't lose my leg until after we were married.
Again,
That's what I'm
your
saying.
anecdotal is not a part of the debate, and I feel like I'm a
I know,
bully,
but it's
and
just
I
one.
will
It's
repent
just
later
no.
on.
You can
But
attack it. I'm just saying. I mean,
how?
that's
Okay, in your case, in a case where there is a unique variable like you have, I would argue that many even veterans facing mental health issues from PTSD all the way down to you know um, more severe cases. There are a lot of women who nurse men back into health, care for their men, and do swear their oath and do uphold their vows. These are queens in our society. But again, in general, I would never prescribe to a nephew, my son, any young man that they can go through a marriage not expecting to lead with self-sacrifice and not only seek a transactional equation. Because yes, not you, but if a young man said your words, it's also could be describing somebody pushing a girl for OnlyFans and saying, "Hey, we're getting the bag. So what? She's doing all the work, but I'm chilling. You're mad." Like you sound like it's like a multiverse of
it's.
like, I get
But
it,
then you
but
got
I
the
don't get it.
traditional relationship part. It wouldn't be traditional. Well, OnlyFans is not traditional. You know that. Come on.
Is the word
That's where
traditional
that's where
in
you
the
have to.
topic? I mean,
Yeah.
again,
Yes, that is in the topic. That's what we're arguing about. Traditional relationship. It has to be the
Trad.
breadwinner of
Yeah.
a traditional
Okay.
relationship. And to
So
me, a
in
traditional
again,
relationship is married.
so if you never had experienced whatever happened to you, sir, and again, I'm sorry for the 18th time. Do you believe that your wife would
Don't
still
be
be the main
sorry.
breadwinner?
Don't be sorry. God took my leg for a purpose.
Phenomenal.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Would your
Go ahead.
do you believe that you would be the main breadwinner had that not happened to you?
Yes, and I was.
Without a doubt, that would be
Yeah.
your forward
Yeah. Oh,
progress.
absolutely. 100%.
You're the man. You're the leader. So why are you giving a prescription that you don't believe in your foundation? You're only saying that because of the variables at play, right? Because if that would never happen, you would always say, yes, man leads the home. Love is
I
external,
always said that's what a
self-sacrifice.
traditional relationship is. My objective of this whole
Mm.
argument is just to prove that it can be one time a woman can be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship.
One
That's
time.
what I want to prove, and I
It
think I
leads me
did.
to something else that Andrew Wilson once said, and I believe many on this channel have said before, the exception never maketh the rule. And that's why. Because if we allow exceptions to be the rule, then my name is
Then it should have
Christina.
then we should have changed the prompt to all or every or make it the norm or something, not just can.
I'm not thinking, well, I mean, I'm not going to have a meta debate about the
No,
conversation,
I
but
know.
like
I'm just
I
saying.
feel like
Yeah.
it's our experiences can bring in, you know, good perspectives, but in general, let me just ask you outright. Not me and you. We're observing 5 married men. 3 of those married men are pro gamers. They don't bring home an income, but they clean the house and they cook sometimes. But the wife works a full-time job. What would you say is the probability of that marriage being long term?
Well, did they get married in the church?
Yes,
All 5.
all 5.
Okay. I would say that they aren't doing their duty if they could get out and work. They're saying they're not working at all.
They just choose to minister on TikTok for 13 coins a month.
So I wouldn't say that. I would say they need to get off their ass and do something.
Mm. So outside of your situation,
only
you would
stop
never
stop
agree
wait
with your own
give me a
argument.
second. Only because those 13
Got it.
tokens couldn't provide. Now, if those 13 tokens could
He's
provide,
trying
then I
though.
would say
No,
okay.
he's trying.
He's not trying hard enough.
Well, I
What
mean, that's
what
subjective, right? Again, that's subjective,
right?
and your entire argument is based on your own personal situation. So I can't prove your mental state. I can't prove what works and what quirks you got in the works. I can't prove all that. All I can say is we can go to Ephesians, the same verse you brought up, right? And outside of our situation, you know, I'm a vet, you're an amputee. Get that. I could not say with good faith and good standing, wife, I love you, whilst hanging out at home in Milan John's watching Family Guy. Just couldn't arrive as far as like my worldview, right? And I assume we're both Christians. So outside of you, men in the church, you would tell them it's okay that the wife goes out to work and is the breadwinner.
Just breadwinner. She don't even have to go out to work. My wife works at home and can make more money than I do.
Okay, are you
You
confused?
keep
Are you
making it like
confused as if you think
she's a bricklayer. She's not a bricklayer. She makes money
okay,
with her mind.
in any point of my argument did I ever say that women could not work? That a man should not or should prohibit his wife to sweat and or break a nail?
No, but you keep saying that a man has to work and has to make more than the woman for it to
Yeah, that's
even
the
be a
default.
relationship.
That's the default set standard. Just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up, so a boy becomes a man and self sacrifices, right? But that doesn't mean you have to do something you
It
hate.
still
If you
doesn't
hate
say
what,
that the woman
hang
can't
on.
make $1
If
more.
you love being with your family, right? Because most men that say, you know, being home with my kids is way more important than me clocking in for a
Yeah.
boss, right? And that's
And I'm
very, very
lucky to be
strong to
able to
say.
do that. Yeah.
And that's amazing. But we live in an age where you can do remote work, you can create content, you can re-upload content, many avenues in this racket, right? But what we cannot do is just emulate the word love and have no action behind it.
But
I
what if
I
she's making
fight
$1
with that
million
every single
a
day.
year?
Many men
You're
fight with
gonna
that every single
scream and
day.
make $1 million a year? What if she
Very
made $1 million?
possible.
I'm not. She doesn't. But let me just say, what if she made $1 million a year? You even at your highest stream, Andrew Wilson doesn't make $1 million a year. So she's going to be the breadwinner of that relationship too. You're going to call it not a traditional relationship anymore? I don't believe his relationship is traditional, anyways. But that's a whole other thing.
Well, when you say traditional, we have how many denominations? Like what denomination of Christianity are we speaking of? I mean,
Just regular
let's
Orthodox.
be honest here. Okay, Orthodox. Okay, great. So again, where in the Bible does it say the husband is not the head of the wife, is not to emulate Christ,
Says it
and is to
everywhere. And
not
that head
give
of the
himself
wife is
up?
the leader. It doesn't mean that they have to make more than her. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
But that's not
As
that's
long
not
as
what
you
I'm
can
arguing.
provide and
So okay,
protect,
okay.
that's
So
what
one
the
part of your
Bible
argument, hang on,
states.
pause,
And you
pause.
know
One part of
this.
your argument is that, oh, Geo thinks that women shouldn't be able to work. False.
No, I never
Right?
said
My
that.
wife has had many avenues, but again, the debate is not about Geo's wife versus Amp's wife. So I digress on that level. Secondly, you say that, oh, she don't have to make more or less. That's not my argument here, buddy. My
That's
argument is
breadwinner,
here
though.
is that
That's the
I
argument.
am respectfully. Let me tell you a little bit about who Geoverse is. Right? I'm somebody that supports individuals in arguments that give a good net positive prescription as what a good role model would do or should do, right? Moral oughts, what we ought to do, right? Not about how great my marriage is, right? Because I'm a man of many mistakes. What I'm saying is, as a prescription, I would tell young men, create your foundation, right? Even have the woman move in with you. Let
I
it be
agree.
your
Ought,
name
but the statement isn't
on that
ought, it's
title, right?
can.
So again, so what prescription would you give a newlywed couple as far as financial prosperity? Would you say, man, dude, just relax, just support her and whatever dream she has and hope she makes it? No, right?
I already
You would say
conceded
go to
that
work.
point that a traditional relationship would be the man makes the money, but I didn't say that it wasn't an ought. I'm saying it is a can. That's all I'm stating, and that's what the prompt states.
Okay,
You keep
but
saying
would you
it has
offer
to
it?
be
Okay,
all,
so
but it doesn't.
so you're saying that you would not offer it as a hey guys,
If
this
I was
actually
talking to my
works.
son, I would tell him to be the breadwinner in the family and to have the money before you even think about even getting married.
Is it kind to lie in Christianity?
No.
So it's not impeccable for you and I to give an argument that we don't believe in, right?
Say that again.
So it's unimpeccable for you and I to give an argument in which we don't believe in, is it?
I guess so, yeah.
So if I told you that one of my good friends, just had a same-sex marriage, right? You'd be like, wait a minute, you support that? And I would say, sure, why not? Not a real thing, just an example, but that would be a lackluster Christian because unfortunately, in our faith, God does forbid a few things, right? A few
I
things
wouldn't
are
call
not
that a
of.
traditional relationship, though.
Exactly. So there are some things that, absent our
Exactly.
mind,
That's the prompt.
our
That's what I'm
faith.
saying.
Yeah. So again, within the secular arrival of logic, right, prosperity in marriage, and the theistic notion of a man is the head of the household, I just fail to see the correlation where you are for women being the breadwinner and also for like two incomes are different. So if your argument is two incomes, then I don't think we have a like contention there. But if there's only one income and that one income is the wife, and there is no
Never stated it was one income. That's what I'm
circumstance.
saying. I'm just saying she's making more. And that's what breadwinner means to me. That she makes more
So
than the husband.
okay, so it's okay. I mean, semantics are very very important, right?
That's why
Crucible.
I asked you what it
So
meant at the beginning, right? Yeah.
let's do that. So let's go ahead and define it, right? Any source is okay. Is Webster okay, sir?
Yes.
Shout out to the Galaxy Z Fold 7, Samsung sponsor me. I'm kidding. Uh, so breadwinner definitely is subjective because I would first have to admit that we're not out here racing for bread, right? Even though sourdough is amazing. But when I say breadwinner, I mean in the same context of brings home the bacon. Would you agree with that at least, Angry?
Bring home the bacon, like more bacon.
Right. So the term breadwinner means the person in a household who earns the main income that supports the family's living expenses. In simple term, a breadwinner is the one who brings home the paycheck, or like I said, the bacon. And
I
here's an example, right?
don't agree
And,
with that.
and I don't like using Google, but he's forced my hand. John works full time and pays most of the bills. He's the breadwinner in the family. So if it's not John, it's Susie. So tell me why Susie working full time and paying most of the bills is a good thing in your worldview. That is Orthodox
That's not
Christianity.
what I said. All I said was she makes more than John.
That's not
John still works 40
debate, but
hours
we
a
got a
week.
long 40 minutes to argue about it. Again, I really don't
And
have
you
any
keep saying,
qualm. Like I'd be
okay,
happy
since we
if
have 40 minutes, let's go back to the start because you keep saying
sure.
burden. Like you keep saying that the
Yes,
person
men
like
and
is
women
a
are not the
burden.
same, brother. Brother, if my wife hasn't eaten at a certain time, my head can fly off, right? So I have
I
to learn
agree,
my
but what does
wife,
the
look at my
paycheck
wife, and
have to do
listen to
with any of
understand.
this? It's just a
Because like we have to
paycheck.
provide. Like, brother, are men and women the same? As far as like
No,
how our bodies work, our moods, our behaviors, our
no,
drives?
no.
No, right?
Uh,
And it's not mean to say,
if
it's not
I could just
misogyny.
offer something here, maybe help you guys. I feel like you guys are a little bit stuck in one spot
Yeah.
here, just to help. Maybe if you, because I think what's happening is you guys are debating what the definition of a traditional relationship is, right? If one is saying that the woman can be the breadwinner in the relationship. The other one is saying the woman can't be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship. I think the debate is what a traditional relationship is. So like maybe if you guys can like get into those definitions and like see where you guys collide there, maybe it'd help you get past this hump here.
Okay, that's very fair. But in my argument, all I'm saying is that if you say traditional, that would be within context of conservatism, right? We're conserving tradition, correct? So in the nuclear family, it's the father, mother, and the children, correct? Not single parent household,
God
not
first.
women marrying the government, right? So in that example of the nuclear family, it is the set narrative, the set default narrative that the men brings home the paycheck, henceforth works full time and shares most of the load. But that does not mean that the wife does not also share the load of maintaining a household, making a home, focusing on education for the children,
Yeah.
etc. So by no means, if my wife retired tomorrow, right, would her burden lessen to 0% because there's always working on both sides. What I'm saying is that how can a man, not in our situation, but in general, how can a man that is able to provide choose to not provide out of convenience and call that love?
You say
That's
choose
how
to
I see
not
it
to
as a net
provide, but
negative.
he is working. He just her 40 hours makes more. Her 5 hours makes more than
You're
his
still
80
arguing like
hours.
you're the
I'm
variable in the
not talking about
equation.
me at all. I'm talking about some
Okay.
lady named Susan that you brought up. She has a master's degree, so she makes
Did I
$75 an hour.
did
This
I say
man
master's
that
degree at
works
all?
hard as he all can, he's a bricklayer. He only makes $35 an hour.
I didn't even bring up masonry. All I'm saying is that
I am.
John, A, okay, but it's already baked into the hypothetical. Like you got to add stuff to it. So John works full time, pays most of the bills. That means that the most of the burden is on John. Henceforth, he's the breadwinner. If it was flipped and it was Susie, just blanket statement, would not the burden be majorly on Susie, regardless of how great the husband bakes a cake or whatever it is that home husbands do?
I would say, well, in your hypothetical, yes, it would be, but that's not what I'm saying though.
Mm. Okay. Would you argue that in modern day non-traditional relationships, men usually can trade stock at home, have remote work, or own their own business, so they probably operate it from home and to an extent. I'm not arguing that today is not possible. I'm saying that traditionally, whatever means are necessary, the man ought to be the breadwinner. And if you're
Okay, but
for the women being the
when you
breadwinner,
say
then
breadwinner
I don't
right there,
understand how
I
you're
would
not a
say
feminist.
provider right there. Okay. And then when I switched in provider, I would say that the man in the hypothetical makes enough money to provide. That means pay every single bill. The wife's money is just extra and it goes into the bank. So if she quit her job today, it wouldn't make a difference on the family's income or finances whatsoever. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Let's
And you keep
say
saying like the man's not working and he's putting all this burden on this woman, and that isn't even my truth or any hypothetical that I'd even brought up.
it was never your hypothetical. But again, the man makes zero net income a month, right? But he's a great father, cleans the home, makes everything, homey, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If the assets acquired and the literacy among both people in a relationship, if it will yield a net positive today in society, that's when you can do it, right? You don't have to have a blue collar job to make it. Not
So
my
would you
argument at
call that
all.
traditional?
I mean, if it's not a degenerate type of job like gambling or adult content or is harming anyone, there's no reason why a individual could not work from home.
No, no,
How
no,
is working
the
from
first
home a bad thing?
saying the guy that's making no money, and you what you just said.
No, that's definitely not traditional.
Okay, that's all. I was just making sure. I was making sure that you weren't saying that that was traditional. That's all.
It's not traditional for a woman to pay most of the bills in like in a household. So if you're
I
for
agree.
that, please demonstrate.
I didn't say
So
anything about bills. I'm talking about making one more dollar than the man. One more dollar.
I'm very confused as to how that's the
Because
debate.
that's a
But
breadwinner to me.
again,
I keep saying that that's the person that makes the most money in the household
what
is
does the
what I
word
always
what does the word
considered as a
most
bread.
mean to you? if we had
More,
if we had
more
10
so.
pizzas, hang on. If we had 10 pizzas and you ate most of them, how many would you have to eat?
Mm, 6.
Mm. So if a wife pays 60% of the bills, right? Let's say it's the mortgage, light, and water, and you take care of the Wi-Fi because you need it for your gaming, right? Are you, is this you providing and leading your home?
Is that
Not you,
my
but in the hypothetical.
in your hypothetical?
Mhm.
What is the percentage? 60? No, it'd have to be 49% according to you.
100
She
minus
would have
60
to.
is 40.
She would
We're
only
going
be allowed
forward.
to make 49% for it to be a traditional relationship to you, because you say that the man has to make
According
more
to what?
to
According to what,
you.
sir?
You
How? I said 60% of 100.
on
That's
this one,
40.
but I'm saying according to you, the woman would have to make 49% for her not to be the
Mhm.
breadwinner in any relationship.
Okay. Yeah, let me see. So earlier you brought up Christianity, and I feel like, that is your foundation, or I think it is, but I hear a lot of feminism in your vocal cords. But a biblical man leads with love and provides with faithfulness, protects with courage, and honors his wife as an equal partner before God. So I feel like you think that men who lead the home and provide are toxic masculine men that don't allow their women to lead their home, but that's not the case. In my case, I'm arguing the idea of it's always great to have two incomes, right? But it's not traditional. So if in this circumstance where I was the only income, it would still be traditional. But if my wife was the only income, that would be the opposite of traditional. So I can understand where two incomes might be the modern status quo. And we can also argue that, two incomes could be a bad thing in the eyes of the church. But in many cases in the Bible, entrepreneurship has been shown by female farmers, right? So there's not really like a contention that we have theistically. I just feel like you're too focused on proving your unique situation to be, more, I guess, more of a set prescription to other men that aren't in your situation. And I'm just trying to iron out
I
how
think
that's
you're
the case.
projecting that I think people should be me. All that I'm saying is this is what happened to me, and I'm just because I lost my leg didn't change my
Mhm.
relationship whatsoever. It didn't make me not a traditional marriage because my leg went away. We were traditional when we got married, we'll be traditional when we die.
Right.
Just
So,
because she makes more money than me, it doesn't make any sense. You can, and I provide just fine. Like I make
so,
money. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not like I
mhm,
don't get paid.
mhm, phenomenal. So, with people that, let me see, because I'm just confused on how to even approach this without, being a total dweeb. Um, Would you say that again? Would you say that the leading cause of divorce is for financial reasons in America?
No, I would say leading
It-
cause of divorce is women getting tired and wanting something that they can't have
You're
because of
saying that the
TikTok and
leading cause of
everything else.
divorce.
Yeah,
Okay, so
no
is this
fault.
your opinion,
No
or
fault
do you know this
divorce.
to be true?
You asked me my opinion,
Okay, so
right?
the leading cause is poor communication, right?
Poor.
Poor communication, and the second is financial stress. Okay, and
Where
then
the
the
stats
third,
the stats come from the person telling you this, right?
no, it's a Pew Research study about
Yeah,
poor
but the wife has to
communication,
say this is why
finances.
I divorced him because of X, Y, and
For
Z.
example, right? For example, misunderstandings, constant arguing, or emotional disconnection slowly kill intimacy. So when you dive into, primalistic nature of women and men, right? The masculine nature of a man of being able to provide and protect his family can be a very attractive trait, right? Because women seek that from men, right? That's why most women say they want a 6 foot man, and a gym rat, right? That's why women always want men that they shouldn't have, right? Theoretically speaking. But when a couple, in this case, is a woman paying most of the bills and still going into society with the illusion that she's not the leader in her home when she herself knows she is, how can that yield any kind of intimacy at all? Like after a while, like you said, the women get sick and
Why are
tired
you so
and lack
monetary?
fulfillment.
Everything's got to
You
be
know,
materialistic with you. Everything just because she makes more money,
materialistic.
you think she's the leader? Like she's gonna think she's the leader in your relationship just because she makes $1 more than you? That's what kind of
Not my
relationship
argument.
you have?
Not my argument at all. All I'm saying is that the main breadwinner is the majority financial
I know
burden
I'm
is
the
on
leader
one
in my house,
person.
and no matter how much my wife makes, I will always be the leader in my house.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to see how you enforce that. It'd be interesting to discuss. But going forward, again,
got 29
leadership
minutes.
leadership by fear is not leadership by respect, right? There's two different things. So a false sense of authority can be garnished with fear,
Respect
right?
is subjective.
I mean, yeah, but within this context, like you've expressed how you said you delegate to your family, right? Delegation
Yeah.
means that you entrust someone. So you can entrust someone
Best
to do
leaders are the
things
best
for you.
delegators. I don't know what you're talking about.
Say again?
Especially being in the military. You know the best leaders are the best delegators.
Phenomenal. But my leadership would never ask me to do something that they would not do themselves. So when a man asks a woman to take over the majority of the burden,
Nobody
how is
asked
that a
her to do that.
self-sacrifice?
It just so happens that she makes more money because of her papers that she got from the college.
Papers that she got from college.
Yes, her
Okay.
master's
Pro-
degrees.
uh, Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger, right? When you have the majority of the burden in a household, right? And I'm thankful. I don't have the majority of the burden. I have a modern relationship where we have two incomes and we
I don't
have to,
think the majority of
taxes
breadwinners
are wild.
have the majority either anymore.
But regardless, you still have yet to give the prescription that any man should feel like he's the leader with providing no provisions, right? So if you agree with that,
You keep saying
you
no.
can. Right. But you say so you're pretty much
49%.
conceding the whole but you're conceding the whole debate right there. But when you bring your anecdotal evidence into it, that's when it gets okay, now you're closer to being for. So in general, you're saying that you are not for this topic. But in your case, you have proven it to be successful. Is that what you're
I said
saying?
it wouldn't be an ought, but it is a can.
It wouldn't be an ought.
Like it
It
wouldn't
is a
be
can.
my
What is a
prescription,
moral okay,
but it can
what is a
happen.
moral ought that men should have in society? Not husbands, just men in general. What is a moral ought that men ought to do? Give me an example.
Respect others, love
Respect
others.
others.
Mhm,
Love others?
mhm.
Okay. My example of a
Love
moral
thy
ought
neighbor.
is
Love thy neighbor.
right. I would say the draft is a moral ought because we pretty much
It's a
lead with
moral ought.
self-sacrifice every single day. Yeah. I mean many men
Morally,
dodge it, right? It's very easy to dodge. But
if
with
it's
me
a
serving
moral
my
ought, shouldn't the
country,
women have to do
one
it
second,
too?
sir. With me serving my country, I felt like I was an obligated, right? It was a ought for me, right? It's very subjective. Me protecting a woman in distress. If I see a woman being beaten by a guy, I'm gonna stop that guy, right? Men are expected. Ask any woman if a guy walks up and smacks you in the ass, what do you expect a man to do? You expect us to what? Bash him in the face, right? But when men ask, we expect a woman to submit and allow us to lead. Now we're toxic, right? So it's entitlements without duty, right? I want this, but I don't want to work for this. That
That's why
works in
traditional
tandem.
relationships
It
set the
works in
duty from
tandem
the
with both
beginning.
sexes. Hmm?
That's why in a traditional relationship, you set the duty from the beginning. You know your roles from the beginning, and it goes
Yeah, and
just
so
like you
and
said.
not you, but just what you're saying. So does the pimp. Pimp hand strong, you know? Better have his money. And that's not a good prescription for children because we have young men who are
Pimp's not
creating
traditional.
channels.
Come on.
Brother, we have men today chatting for women online. Like
Good
it's
for
come to
them.
a
That has
place
nothing to
where,
do with a traditional
brother, if you're
relationship.
gonna give a prescription for a traditional marriage, it cannot begin with I'm okay with my wife taking care of the bills. I'm not saying it's unrealistic. I'm saying that for prosperity, as a prescription, me being almost 40, right? You can see the hairline. I would say, look, create the foundation yourself, lead the home, earn that trust. A man is impeccable with his
Got
word.
it.
So hang on. So in high school, I doubt that you said that you didn't tell your wife, "Hey, I love you, and I'm gonna give you the life you deserve." That was your words, right? I'm paraphrasing, right? As men, we are supposed to provide a life for our family, right? So we have to be
Mhm,
impeccable. Your circumstances
mhm.
are very, very, unfortunate. And again, prayer. But in
Unique.
general, we do not prescribe that men just hang out at home, and just because she got the paper from college, she got it, we good. Like, no, that is not
Nobody said we
smart. That's not
good.
conducive.
That's why I'm starting a channel to make more money. Maybe I'll be the breadwinner after
You're
this.
back to you, sir. You're back to you. This is about the general status quo of men in relationships. Should we, you and I, looking outward, right? We're standing there. Should we tell these young men, hey, find you a girl that makes money?
It's not
You'll
about
be
what we
straight.
should do. It's about if women can be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship, not what we should do or what ought people do
How
or
about
what.
this? Let me just try this. I think I can try and help out this again.
Ask us a
So
question.
let's start with first, angry amputee. You give us your definition of a traditional relationship, and then Geo, you give yours, and then I think you guys will see where the difference is there. You understand what I'm saying? So like, and this will help you guys because that's what's being debated, right? It is a traditional relationship include a woman being able to be the breadwinner, right? So yeah, let's try that. So angry amputee, you give us your definition, and then as well as you Geoverse, and then you'll see like the differences. I'm gonna give you guys back 40 seconds here on the clock for my talking, and go ahead.
All right, let's see. Traditional is defined as a union that follows the historical norms, customs, and social structure of a specific culture or society involving a man and a woman, typically for the purpose of establishing a family.
Okay. So I would define it contextually on family and legacy focus in the home, right? Raising children does require faith, but it also requires money. Stability in the home requires love, commitment, but also money. Serving the community together in a congregation requires money. So in every single context, to lead the home, you need the foundation, right? And in reality, right, you need provisions. I'm not arguing that two incomes are a bad thing. I'm not saying women should sit down and go in the kitchen. I'm not arguing that at all. What I'm saying is when you look at the Bible, you can cross-reference and see that men are expected in tradition to lead the homes, and in modern day society, we are expected as a moral ought to provide and protect in our home, right? Like, do you hide? Do you
That's
hide in
that's my
case
point.
there's an invader?
Provide and
Of course
protect.
not,
No.
right? But it doesn't take money to protect your family. Got it. But it takes, financial, burdens on a man to provide a future, right? So if this debate is about is it within Christian tradition, right? Because I failed to see Christian in there, but I'll take it. Is it within Christian tradition for a man to not be the breadwinner and the woman to be the breadwinner? I would argue no. I would argue no, because that would show that it is impeccable of the man to seek the woman's hand and not provide a foundation for her.
I would say in general, no, but it can happen. That's what my point is. And
Okay,
if
so
you're
I,
if
I
you're
think
if
he
you're a
conceded.
traditional man, you would have life set up already to provide and protect for your family, so
But
that if
why?
you did lose a
Why though?
leg, wait,
But why?
So if you did lose a leg after you were married, that you would have
Hmm.
money in the bank, which would be AI, like an insurance policy or something like that, that would be able to provide, which
Hmm.
possibly do have. But what I'm saying is, you could still be a breadwinner and have the other person provide. That's what I don't think that breadwinner equals
What do you mean by
provision.
provide? Do you mean provide what? Food
House,
in the kitchen?
food,
Provide lawn care?
house. uh,
Okay,
No,
so chores. Chores.
no.
What?
Provide house, like a shelter, food, and protection,
How do you provide a
health.
shelter without a gainful income?
That's what I'm saying. It is gainful.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't think that a woman can be the sole breadwinner, right?
You keep saying
But
soul.
you are saying, I'm trying to understand, have you understand where I'm coming from. When I came to the debate, my understanding was, should is a man a leader when the woman is a breadwinner? Can the woman be the breadwinner? Can the woman be the, not one of, not the greater than, not the lesser than, but the, right? The
Yeah,
singular,
the breadwinner. That
right?
doesn't mean the
So my
only the
argument is
only one
that
making money, though. That's what I'm
my
trying to
argument
tell
is
you.
that the reason I took this debate is because I would like to offer a prescription to the next generation that we're supposed to lead, right? And offer a prescription and say, create the foundation. Like you just said it earlier.
I
If you're a
agree.
traditional man, if you're a trad man, you create the
I agree.
foundation and you lead by example. The only part of the argument where you go back and it makes sense that you're for this is when you offer your own, unique situation.
Well, let me
Again,
ask you
I
a question
cannot
real
prove your
quick.
situation,
When
sir.
when you get married to your wife, if something happens
Mm.
to you, isn't it her duty to take care of you? And
No, it's the duty
it's not
of
her
my
duty?
employer. I have long-term and short-term disability. I pay for that.
Didn't you get married in a church?
Again, I'm
It's not.
employed
It's
in a
not your
corporate
wife's duty to take. I'm not
structure
talking
in
about
which I
monetary.
have insurance.
Everything with you is monetary. I'm just talking about taking care of you.
Yeah, because men plan for shit, brother. That's what we do. We plan. We think ahead. We think beyond fear because
But you told me that your wife
we
was
can't
the
have
breadwinner
fear.
of your relationship more than once.
No, for the beginning. But as time progressed,
Well, then it wasn't
when you move to a
traditional
new
ever.
state,
Then you never, and you're saying you have a
yes.
traditional relationship now. It went from not, but to
Mm.
now. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Again, is the debate about Geo's marriage and Amp's marriage, or is or is the debate about a general descriptive or prescriptive?
Well, you claim that it was traditional. That's why. I'm saying that's the only reason. And I'm claiming that mine is traditional,
Yeah.
and
So
my
a
wife is
traditional
the
Christian,
breadwinner.
hang on. Let's go with objective logic, right? So a traditional Christian relationship today is one where both partners love God first, love each other sacrificially, honor biblical order, and commit to building a family rooted in faith, even while adapting to modern life. Okay. So where in that context am I not in a traditional relationship?
Where was that from?
You just said that my relationship was not traditional. Where in
No, I
anything that
said,
I
where did you
said,
get what you just said from? Did you just make that like?
it's
Is it your
no,
opinion? I was asking.
it's a summary of the study that I pulled up earlier, where it discusses communication of traditional relationships in modern day Christianity.
Okay, then repeat what you said.
It's within the context of Matthew 6:33. It's about a God-centered foundation, right? So I'll agree with you that if God is the center of your foundation, then money has no qualms, right? Money doesn't define your relationship. What I'm saying is, within our discussion, right? There's three examples: one income from the man, one income from the woman, and dual incomes. We agree on most of those examples, except for one, right? Do you understand that a man cannot call himself a leader if the woman is the sole income? Do you agree with that? No income from the man. The woman is the main sole breadwinner. Do you agree
And
with
you're
that
saying he
notion?
can't be the leader?
He
That
claims he entitles himself the title without the action.
okay, then
Concept minus
he's just
application.
he's just a con artist.
He's a lazy bones, right? Fantastic. So we are in agreement, and you can see the debate about 44 minutes ago. But I enjoy the to and
No,
fro, for sure.
I
But again, it's not about Geo versus Curse. It's
just
not about
conceded
your
that one question. That has
engagement.
nothing to do with the debate, but okay.
I mean, I'll concede the rest of the time. I feel like the chat has a lot to say as far as
I'm gonna say, do you have a
maybe him
question
and I are
for
both
us?
confused, but I'm looking forward to the chat's response. But go ahead, sir. I'll
Oh, wait a
concede the
second.
time to
I
you.
got a little bit more. Would you
Sure.
would you consider ascetic Jews traditional?
In what sense?
Just in the traditional sense of the word.
It wouldn't be congruent to my belief system, but yeah, in my time in New York, I've seen many Hasidic Jews have their own school system, still adopt their cultures and their hairstyles and dress. Yeah, they're pretty faithful to their traditions.
Did you know that
Sure.
the women are the sole providers in the relationships and
Did you
the
know that I
man goes
wasn't
out to
Jewish?
read? I didn't say
Did you
you
know
were.
that
I
I
just
wasn't
asked you a
Jewish, sir?
question.
Phenomenal. Have you heard of Papua New Guinea and their traditions? It would amaze you, but that's not the debate today. Um,
It
but
was. It's about tradition. It is the
more importantly, I
debate.
feel like we have a skewed culture, right, where feminism has sold a lie, and as we can see, it's invaded the Orthodox Church. Because again, he can bring up his own anecdotal experience, and I can't prove anything he's saying to be true, to be false. So I'm not going to argue his situation. But in general, I have seen a rise of, the girl boss when it suits the individual, right? When it fits the narrative. So again, I'm just hearing a
Yeah,
diatribe about,
girl boss isn't traditional though, so can move on.
respectfully, you claim to have one. And I'm saying that only because you said that I wasn't in a
She ain't my
triad relationship.
boss. She just makes
I
$1
mean,
more than me.
again, brother, just using your logic against you.
That's fine.
But
That's why I said we're
explain
just
how
gonna keep
trust.
going in a circle. I
So
think.
explain how trust works without contribution.
Where don't I contribute?
We're not talking about you. I'm saying in general, in
Okay,
a
where
traditional
does a man
marriage,
that makes money
outside of
40 hours a
us.
week doesn't contribute, even if it wasn't me?
So it takes no commitment to get up at 5 in the morning, be somewhere at the right place, right time, self-sacrifice, work hard, get home, eat, sleep, repeat. So,
Absolutely. And you know what
yeah, so
sucks?
it's
That
so
his
it's commitment.
wife doesn't have to do anything, and she makes 10 times more than him.
Again, I don't mention wives and their income, but yet you insert variables that don't exist. Wife doesn't make an income, stays home, right? She takes care of the kids, she cooks, great wife, right? Would you say that
What if she
both
wrote a book in high
sacrifice?
school?
Who are we discussing? Like,
Anybody? Rachel
is this about
Wilson.
your marriage? Like, am I
Let's talk
Dr.
about
Phil
Rachel
today?
Wilson. She wrote a book, and she supported Andrew for a long time.
Yeah, but guess what? If Andrew says, "Bitch, get me a beer," what's she gonna do? Get him a beer
Right?
and apologize for
That's
her
my point.
tardiness. Yeah, so like again,
So
you keep
she's
bringing up
not boss bitch.
anecdotals when they don't really qualify here, brother.
Okay. So you say.
Again, two incomes are okay, but in any point, did Andrew Wilson ever say that he made no money, or was he an engineer?
Neither did I, or did anybody else. He
Again,
just said he
so
made
when a
less.
man has no income and the woman takes care of business, I would love to see how you can demonstrate that man having leadership within his foundation. If not, him being a pimp.
Yeah, I already said we're just gonna keep going around in circles. I didn't. Nobody says that
I
the
mean,
man's not
I
making
mean,
any
we can,
money.
brother, but again, like you keep bringing up your marriage and a book, and then Rachel Wilson out of nowhere. Again, love them both, huge fan, but it has nothing to do with our
I'm
discussion.
just replying to what you're saying.
Okay, again, can the woman be the breadwinner in a marriage, in a traditional marriage? Yes or
Yep.
no?
And yes, and
Not
I
your
prove it
marriage,
to
but in
you.
general, with an
I didn't
able-bodied
say
man.
I didn't say in general. I just said one time. That's all that matters.
Okay, so that if you think that your anecdotal evidence is
Is enough to prove that this
entitlement to
could happen
victory,
one
then I guess I
time.
will
Yeah.
concede the rest of the time. Speak. I didn't know it was an anecdotal debate, But I am pretty good at
Well,
Marvel
here,
Rivals,
what
so
if I
when
maybe try to like tie something here? I think
yeah,
what I'm seeing the main thing is like is Geo is saying that in the term of traditional relationship means that the man has to be the like the main source of income. And angry amputee is saying that's not a requirement for a traditional relationship. So like if you guys could get into like why that part specifically, like the main source of income is a requirement for the traditional relationship. Like I think that might help
But I
here. Like
think
where
we're
you
just
like
going to
this
go
go
around it
ahead.
because he's going to say sole provider, and then I'm
like
going to
with
say,
it
well, it's not, and then it's just going to keep
Okay.
going back and forth. I
No,
think.
it's very very easy. Let's go to Timothy, shall we? Timothy 5:8. It says, "If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his own household, he has denied the faith." And the Bible also teaches us that a husband carries responsibility on his shoulders as Jesus Christ bared the cross. I bear the cross for my family. If my wife cannot get up tomorrow, if she loses her job due to whatever variable, it is up to me to create that safety net and blanket because that's who I am. I have the unconditional faith that God has my shadow in
Hey,
his
I've been
vision,
with my
right?
wife since '96, and she has never even seen a bill. She's
In
never even seen
general,
one. She don't even know how to pay it.
all right, Amp,
So that's why I don't
is it
understand what you keep
is it
saying.
safe
This,
to argue? Hang on. Is it a matter of fact that outside of you and I, it is the man's responsibility
but I'm sure there's more
within the
than
body
just
of the
me that
church?
has the same anecdotal
What is
evidence
the man's responsibility in a marriage, sir?
to provide and protect. I keep
Mm.
telling you that.
So if a man does not take
And
in
I
that
can provide just
responsibility,
as fine without my wife it's money at
If
all.
a
It
man
just so
does
happens
not
she
take
makes more.
if a
Sorry.
man does not take in the responsibility that would beget self-sacrifice, how can that be described as love?
There's no self-sacrifice? That's what I don't understand. Where is this no
So a
self-sacrifice?
blue-collar man going to work every day, punching in, laying down concrete is not sacrificing. A guy in the Marine Corps going to Iraq for 2 years is not sacrificing.
Yeah, I
Many
what the,
laborious and dangerous jobs that people do, right, is not
okay, well,
sacrificing. Look at Charlie Kirk, a man that had a voice, and his only crime is speaking out, like me and you are doing today, like SpeakeaZy. Men like us are prime targets for anyone
that's a
opposing
good
our
point. You
views.
brought him
But
up.
it's
Is
impeccable.
Erica not
It's
traditional
impeccability. Hang
anymore
on.
because he
It's
died?
impeccability that makes me care more about my wife's goodness and her grace and her safety than my hairline, right? I save money, easier bills, right? Shave the head, right? So it's up to men. Sorry for the joke, but it's up to men to have that responsibility. And what I see in modern day culture, not you or I, but in modern day culture, that men expect women to be more than what you and I would say that they are, right? Because we view women as the queens of life. I don't know
I
about you,
think
but
you
I hold my wife
expected
to the highest
to
degree.
debate a feminist, and you got me on accident.
Nah, I mean you're definitely a feminist. I mean we can argue
Oh,
about
okay.
that at a later date. But I mean, you know what? You know, covert feminism is on the rise for sure. But again, can you contest to Timothy 8 when it says, "If anyone does not provide
Who
for
said
his
I'm not provide?
relatives
That's what I'm
and
telling you.
especially for
You
his
keep
own
saying they're not
household,
providing.
he's
I could
so how
prove
can
that
you
they're
be a
providing,
Christian?
though.
How can you be a Christian and deny faith? Again, it's not about you, brother. It's a debate where we convince the audience. Maybe some husband down
And I'm
there
pretty
is
sure that I
number one in
convinced that it
Halo,
could be
but he
happening.
hasn't won a tournament in years. You know, never know. Should men be okay with their women being the main income in marriages? Not us. Should men in general be okay with their wife bringing home
Should
the
they be
bacon
okay with it?
while
Yeah,
they
they should be
master
okay
the no
with it.
scope?
They
Say
should be
again?
okay with it. They should be okay with their wife making $1 more than them, as long as they're not.
Again, you keep saying one more
Stop,
dollar.
stop, stop. As long as they're
Stop
not going
changing
out
my
and
hypothetical. It's
doing
very simple.
anything that would harm them in any way, or
Okay.
force them to
Can
be
I ask you a question?
a
And you watch Andrew
laborer.
Wilson a lot, right? You watch Andrew, so you know that you're gonna know the question, right? How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning?
I don't eat breakfast.
You don't eat breakfast. Thank you for that. So when I ask you, me, literally me, this is me saying this is about Geoverse. Ready? I was a pro gamer, League of Legends for 9 years. I thought
Yeah,
I
we
was the
know you don't
best.
have a
Right?
traditional
I
relationship.
listen.
You
I
already
was
said
I was
that.
in a no life. I met the woman of my dreams. She said, "Hey, I like the boy. I need the man." What did I do? I evolved. Right? Because I know what my woman expected of me. So if
Well,
I
I
would have
had to
never gotten on
devolve
my,
because
hang
of my
on,
leg
if I would
loss.
have never gotten on my feet and self-sacrificed to provide the trust and respect for my wife, then we would not be together today. And I asked her this week. She helped coach me. You know, she was my opposition. She was you. And guess what? She's the opposite of your entire stance, sir. Right? Because reality
Opposite?
hit us very hard, right? Reality hits you hard. So in your case, phenomenal. The exception has made the rule. But in a general standpoint, I would never ever prescribe to young men they should walk into a relationship expecting the woman to lead,
I didn't say
especially
I was
in
subscribing.
the body of Christ. There's no
Of
Christian that would
course.
ever be on your
I just
side
said it could
unless,
happen.
you know, they
I just
exist in
said
the
it
chat.
could be,
But I'm open
especially
for
with
it, you know.
disabled people or something in that relation
Again,
or that
I'm not
marriage.
saying I'm not
What
saying
if
it's exclusive to
what if
men.
somebody
Let's
married
not get it confused because
an
maybe your fan
autistic
showed up and
person?
mine didn't. To all of the AMP fans in the chat, I'm not
I hope
saying that
there's
men
many.
exclusively have to provide and bring home the bacon, but the Bible emphasizes responsibility, right? In this modern day and age, you can work from home, you can design apps. There's
Oh,
many,
that
many
is your
things you can
claim. You're
do.
claiming that the man has to make all the money.
No, my claim is that it is not okay if the woman is the sole provider, the main breadwinner, the one that brings home the majority of the burden in the household. It is not a good prescription. Can you please demonstrate how it's a good prescription to tell men that it's okay for a newly married couple that the woman leads the financial burden? Please demonstrate that to me.
Well,
Maybe I'm old,
if she makes
you know?
300,000 a year, then that'd be fine, I would say.
Right. So you want a sugar
Not
mama.
going out
Many
doing
men would agree with
hardcore
you.
work. I mean,
Look, when
like,
I was 21,
if it's going to put
I would have
stress
probably
on,
got a sugar
listen,
mama too.
if it's going to put stress on her or anything, I would even tell my wife to cut back work. But she wants to work. That's the problem.
Yeah, none of us
Especially now that
are
the kids are
okay.
older.
We both agree that women should be allowed the right to work. We both agree? Nod your head. Okay, we agree with that.
Yes.
But I would feel lack of lack of
Well, I can't help that don't feel less of a
I would
man
feel lack
because that she makes
of
more than
entitlement to
you.
being a leader if my wife ran the entire household financially. That's silly. That's a very juvenile of you
That
to
sounds
say.
like insecurity, though, bro.
How's it insecurity?
That you can't have it that your wife makes more than you, that would make you feel inadequate.
I never used the word inadequate, but a man, I think we should bring back shame, and we should definitely shame men that take advantage of women who went to college and they didn't, for example, right? But again, I'm not a college graduate, nor is my wife. We are good salespeople, right? That's what we do. Gift to gab. Here I am debating you. So all I'm saying is that if a Christian husband is called to lead, not lord over, because it sounds like when you say you don't make the most money, but yet you delegate and you instruct and you rule with an iron fist, it's more like you lord over her, and that's really not what Christians are asked to do. I
No,
would never
it's
lord
nothing
over
but
my
love and
wife,
respect.
but I would always lead, right? So what's the difference between lording over your wife and leading? Tell me that.
Well, I just said it. I love and respect her. I wouldn't force her to do anything if she wouldn't want to do. But if it came down to who has the final say, it would be me, and she knows that, and that's what the
Right.
respect is. She
So you
respects me
don't make
enough
so you
to
don't
trust
make
everything that I say.
so you're not the
To
main
do.
breadwinner, but you're also the final defector, right? So
Yeah.
all arguments, whether you're moving to Alaska, is up to you,
Yep.
no matter what.
No matter
And you
what.
do that. Hey, look,
100% of
W
the
to
time.
you, W to you. But again, in general, not you, right?
That's
Not
why I said it's a
anecdotally.
traditional relationship, because it really is. Like,
All right. I mean,
that's
after
why
this timer's up, man, I definitely have to ask you, like, why you believe that a debate can be won with your anecdotal evidence being the
I
claim
didn't
to
say it
victory.
could be one. I just have to make the people agree with me.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. Bet. We're on YouTube. What is a woman, Amp?
Me, a
Yeah.
female, an adult female.
Okay. Is there any subjective take to that answer, or is it objectively true?
Subjectively true.
Okay. So, not in your unique case, but as a general prescription, is it logical for women to be the main breadwinners in homes with able bodied
I
men?
already told you it isn't, but that's
Okay, it
not the
isn't. So,
prompt. It says
debate
can
over.
be.
Much respect to you, Amp,
You keep saying
but
that,
I
but it
have no
says
other
can
argument.
be. It doesn't say should or always or is. It says can be. And the woman can be the relationship breadwinner in a relationship. I didn't say should.
All right. So, I don't have arguments that I don't believe in foundation. So I guess that was the true debate.
I don't know what that means.
It means that leadership is service driven, not an entitlement. Only a feminist would have an entitlement with minus duty. So I get it works for you, but in general, I would never prescribe it.
You
And
think I'm entitled?
if I was arguing with you, I would have looked you up on Google, man. Like I thought I was arguing an actual debate on the general status quo.
Well, it's my first debate,
Just
so
saying. Oh, is it? Well, I mean, you definitely are a good opponent, man. You're very grounded in your belief system. Hopefully, we both grow. But
you should
I'm
debate
very
what you
interested
believe.
on
You
the
should
feedback
debate
on
what
this
you
one.
believe in, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's unkind to lie, right? And if
Not
a
lying.
man feel like he's leading the home and his woman looks to him for guidance and advisory, can't be close to the truth when she's the main paycheck bringer. But again, very subjective, especially in modern dating. There's a lot of men that have adult content creators as girlfriends, and they just went on whatever podcast with Andrew Wilson, and there he wore a fedora. So
Yeah,
just buy a fedora.
but they admit
Oh
that they're not
crap!
in a
There you go.
traditional
You got a hat on.
relationship.
But yeah, I'm just curious as to how many fedoras you must own. Get it? It's wild. But yeah, I definitely can see the time. I feel like we're just gonna go back and forth in circles. But again, it's relationship, it's leadership, not dominance. It's not entitlement. It's how a trad relationship should be. You know, I'm not a toxic, misogynistic man that denies, you know, women working, right? Because in Proverbs 16 to 18, chapter 31, she considers a field and buys it. She sees that her trading is profitable. So there's many cases where women have had to provide in their family, right? But is it a moral ought or a moral narrative for women to lead the home and income? No way. But I guess in this case, the exception has made the rule.
I agree.
You've agreed since the inception of this conversation.
Exceptions do. Like I said, there are exceptions to the rule, man.
Yeah. So we both agree that a husband isn't required to be the only breadwinner, but he is called to be the steady, responsible leader, right? Who ensures his family's needs, right? Be it spiritual, be it physical, however you want to put it. The man has a calling, right?
To lead his
In the
family,
church,
correct.
right? So outside
To
of your
lead,
situation,
just like
you
Christ
agree
leads
with
the
me in every
church, right?
variable. So, like, this is why, like, I never try to bring in my own anecdotal evidence, because I can just state that I'm better at Rocket than SpeakeaZy, because I know about his dashes, the cooldowns, and the fact that I can actually use them as a DPS more than a support. I
And I would
digress.
say
You know, it's
you
always
are, and I
subjective.
wouldn't take
You
that
know,
debate.
I would. But W debate amp, and I look forward to definitely seeing you on more debates for sure.
Thanks, buddy, man. Appreciate it.
W ortho, bro. Thank you, Speak. I think we're good on this portion.
All right. I mean, usually, you let it go to the end, but
My
it
fault.
is only a few seconds. So,
You gave
uh,
us extra time too.
yeah, I get it. I do that when I talk because it seems fair. But so we'll wrap up the open hour portion. Let's move into the closing statements. So angry amputee, you're gonna go first for closing statement. That'll give Geoverse the last word.
Okay, I'm gonna go start off with the prompt again. Woman can be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship. So I think I showed that a traditional relationship is from I'll show you. I'll even read it for you. One where partners follow established gender roles, often with a man and primary earner, like you thought, like you said, and protector as a woman as the homemaker and provider and primary caregiver. But as far as earner, wait, I messed it all up. That wasn't what I was trying to say. Shoot.
If you wanna back it up a bit, you can. We can give you a couple more seconds back. No
I
problem.
wrote I
Yeah.
wrote I read the wrong
Take your time,
prompt.
brother.
Yeah,
No issues.
no problem, no problem. Go ahead. If you wanna
Go ahead. Where did
back
I
it up there,
finish
go
that?
ahead. I'll
Well, I
start it up with
I
you.
start with the prompt for traditional women. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. You're good. Go ahead.
There we go. Traditional marriage is defined as a unit that follows the historical norms, customs, and structures of a specific culture or society involving a man and a woman, typically for the purpose of establishing a family. I believe when you get married to a woman under the vows of God. And when you take your vows, you vow to them till you death till you part, sickness and in health till death do us part. I don't think it has anything to do with monetary or materialistic things. As long as you can provide and protect for your family, that's all that matters. You don't need excess money, all this money coming that you need to have. As long as you have enough to protect and provide, that's all that's needed. As far as the breadwinner part goes, I only think that a breadwinner is the person that makes the most money. Gio believes that it's the person that is the sole provider, and it has to be the man. That's where we're farther apart, I believe. I think that just because that a woman makes $1 more than a man, it doesn't make them the breadwinner. Well, I mean, it technically is a breadwinner, but it doesn't mean they're the provider anymore. But he does, so I just don't believe that. When I took my vows in the church, it didn't say that I had to make X amount of dollars or give her X amount of things. Just said for richer, poorer, in sickness and in health, which I am sick. So that's why I get a little extra leeway there, which Gio always says. And as far as tradition goes, I'll go back to the Hasidic Jews. They were traditional as all that I could ever think of is tradition. And their wives used to go out and make the money and bring it home to the men. And I will also like to say that there's no burden or anything on my wife or in this relationship, and I'm not a forceful demon lair Lord John crazy person. I'm just a man that makes a couple bucks less than my wife and is in a traditional relationship. We were high school sweethearts from the beginning. I made all the money until I lost my leg, and we were already married at the time. So she just upped her income. It's not really the fault of me in any ways. Even if I would have continued to work without a leg, I think she would still be higher in income than me. So you would say that we don't own a traditional family anymore? I just don't see how that makes any sense. But I don't think I have much else to say. Let's see here. I did have a picture, but I wasn't prepared for the closing as I was for the other stuff.
No worries, no worries. If you want to concede the rest of your time, you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right, awesome. Thank you for that closing statement. And with that, we're going to hand the mic over to Gio. And whenever you're ready for your closing statement, Gio, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Thank you so much, Speak, and also thank you, Angry Amputee. It's been a pleasure debating you today, where I feel like we agree on most points, but I did ask you specifically in the middle of our debate if we agree that two incomes are not a net negative, because I myself exist in a dual income marriage. But my argument was based on, for example, you had your situation. I'll go ahead and end my debate with sharing mine. Okay. My wife has what's called multiple sclerosis. At any given day, her mobility can be gone. Any given day, brother. Okay. And this is now to the point where I'm not trying to win a debate, but to share where our lenses can be congruent. Okay. So there is a beyond for me, beyond me being the man. There is a moral ought that I must be the provider and the leader of my home because of the unknown variable that is reality. So in many cases, it's the woman that requires care, and in some cases, it's the man. But in the default narrative, okay, of prosperity and longevity in a Christian marriage, it is the responsibility and the expectant of a man to lead their home and provide provision and protect. We can go all the way down to natural law, all the way into secular humanism. We can try to, but especially in theistic values. And as two Christians, I really don't see where we really disagree because the only point of contention was where you think it's wrong. You think that I think it's wrong if a wife makes slightly more than her husband. It's part of my reality, right? I sell internet, she sells insurance, right? It's a give and take. I can make more, she can make more. But again, I'm just at a loss where if we were prescribing to an audience of 50 newlyweds and you said it is okay because it's okay for me that my wife makes more than me, right? I would agree with you. Yes, in many cases in modern society, a woman can lead in many STEM fields, many real estate markets, and in insurance. I'll agree with you. But it would never be the case that you and I, as Christians, would stand up and say, hey, man, get you a smart girl that can make money and she'll make you rich and comfortable. And that PS5 will be yours before you know it. We would never prescribe that. But in modern times, that's the reality, right? You have men online getting upset because their girl deletes their NBA 2K account. That ends marriages. I've seen it happen, right? There are other men that don't invoke balance in their life, and that invokes resentment, right? And resentment was the main word that my wife expressed to me. It's not that she would leave me, but she would grow resentment toward the burden that I place on her whilst telling her, I love you and I'll do everything I can for you. Right? So being able bodied, keyword, there's no reason why a woman should be the main breadwinner in the household. Right? And in many cases today, with the internet and content creation, there are many cases where a woman can invest in her husband. And there could be a small part of their lives where it takes more faith from the wife to believe in their man's dreams. Right? If I made it on Twitch one day, my wife would support me. And if I made less than her for a year, I'm sure she'd support me. But as far as the prescription, I'm still unconvinced of the, of not being right on being against this idea. And furthermore, the debate isn't about me and you. One thing that I'm trying to learn is that I'm not here to convince you. By no means. I'm not here to cross-reference and internally critique your marriage. I'm here to offer a prescription and convince the audience that they should be on my side versus your side. And so far, you're on my side, right? Women can work, no problem. Two-income household, very, very common in today's age. But a woman being the sole income, not okay. So we agree on most everything, but I appreciate the conversation, the debate, and always the opportunity to have one of the best mods in the business. And with that, I will concede my time and look forward to our next to and fro amp. It's been a pleasure, brother. God bless you.
Alrighty, thank you for that closing statement. If you're enjoying what you've seen tonight, make sure you subscribe to the SpeakeaZy channel so you don't miss more debates just like this one, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. You have watched the Swords of Reason on the SpeakeaZy show, where logic meets passion and where the conversations never end. And again, thank you to both debaters for coming out tonight.